Hello and welcome to J&P Cycles Motorcycle Basics. I'm Becky Mull and I'm here to walk you through some of the motorcycle basics. As a fellow rider, I know how important it is to learn more about the motorcycles we love to ride. And this video has been made to help you understand the basics of your motorcycle and help you make more educated decisions when accessorizing or even maintaining your motorcycle. The first thing we're going to do is define the different sections of the motorcycle. We'll start at the front with the fork assembly. The fork assembly includes the handlebars, risers, triple trees, fork tubes, sliders or lower legs, axle, and wheel. The risers connect the handlebars to the triple trees. The triple tree connects the front forks to the frame of the motorcycle. The front fork tubes go into the sliders and act as shock absorbers. The front axle and wheel provide your steering and your support for the front end of your motorcycle. The next section of your motorcycle is the frame. This is the rigid part of the motorcycle to which all of the components are attached. The engine and transmission are attached to the frame, and your rear suspension is attached to the frame by the rear fork or swing arm. Your seat sits on the frame, and the fuel tank is also mounted to the frame. Really, this is the skeleton of your bike, the base that holds it all together. The drivetrain consists of the engine, the primary drive system, and the transmission. When working together, these parts provide the power for your motorcycle. The engine, in most motorcycles today, is a 4-stroke design. 4-stroke means that the piston comes down to intake the fuel-air mixture. It then returns up to provide compression. The spark is then ignited by the spark plug, which sends the piston back down in the power stroke. And then the final stroke of the engine is to go up and push out all the exhaust gases. It does this every 2 revolutions of the engine. The valve timing is controlled by the camshafts, which have elliptical lobes on them to push up on the lifters and push rods, which open and close the valves. These elliptical lobes are made to open and close the valves at specific times and for specific durations for optimum engine performance. When someone talks about getting a bigger cam, they are not talking about physically larger cam. They are talking about a cam that lifts higher and extends the duration of the valve's opening. From the engine, the force made by the combustion stroke turning the engine is transmitted to the transmission through the use of a primary drive. The primary drive connects the engine to the clutch system, which operates the transmission. The transmission then changes the gearing and provides power from the transmission to the rear wheel. This is done by either a chain drive, belt drive, or a shaft drive. All of these transmit power from the transmission to the rear wheel. At the back of the bike, you have the rear fender assembly, which attaches to the frame through the use of the fender struts and rear wheel assembly, which connects to the rear fork or swing arm. The exception to this would be rigid frame motorcycles. There are several different styles of rear suspensions. Basically, you have 2 styles of frames, either a rigid or hardtail frame in which the rear axle is mounted directly to the frame and has no rear suspension. The other type is a swing arm frame, which has a pivot and shock absorbers that offer suspension and stop the bounce of the rear wheel as it moves up and down when traveling down the road. On the top of your rear fender is your seat. There are a number of different seat designs, and you also have the option of a solo seat or a 2-up to ride a passenger. Design is only limited by what bike you have and the style you choose. Also, on top of your frame is your fuel tank. The fuel tank is a storage container for the fuel to your engine. It also has a petcock on carbureted models that can be closed when not in operation and opened when in operation, and also offers a reserve fuel position for the last resort to get you to the gas station. Now that you know a little bit more about what your motorcycle is made of, it's time to take a look at what to do each time before you get out on the road and ride. Before you ride your bike, there's a checklist you should go through in your head while you're looking at your bike. 1. Look at your tires. Check the pressure and look for wear. See if you have good tread all the way across the tires. Use a tire gauge to check the proper air pressure, which will vary from model to model and size to size. So find out what the proper pressure is before you ride your bike. Pressure is more accurately measured on a cold tire, which has not yet been run for the day. After being run, tires are warm and the pressure increases. 2. Take a look at your lights. Turn them on, walk around the bike, making sure all the lights are functioning. Also, check your brake lights for proper operation. 3. Check your fluid levels. This is a very important part of your pre-ride inspection. If not checked properly and you run out of any fluids, this can cause serious damage to the bike. 4. Check your engine oil at least every other ride or every tank of gas. 5. Check your brakes for proper operation. To do this, just sit on the bike and actuate the front or rear brake and push the bike to make sure that you are stopping. Remember to do this before you start the bike. Finally, step 6 is to look at the bike and just see if there's anything that looks to be out of place, loose, or missing. It's always a good idea to just walk around the bike and give it a good look before you get on. Okay, so you know a little about the motorcycle and what to do before riding it. Now let's take a minute to look at one more very important part of owning a motorcycle: general maintenance. You made a very large investment in your bike, and you want to help it last as long as you can. General maintenance of your motorcycle will help you keep the bike on top form and keep the systems working correctly and smoothly. You want to make sure you regularly change the oil, primary fluid, transmission fluid, and service or change the air cleaner. These small maintenance projects will all extend the life of your motorcycle and help it run more efficiently. First, we're going to look at oil change intervals. All bikes will vary, so check your owner's manual for the proper oil change schedule. You'll want to change the filter and the oil at the same time. Transmission oil changes should be done about every 5,000 miles on a Harley. Same with the primary. You will get dirt in the system and wear from the gears will get in the oil. They do not have filters, so go ahead and change them every 5,000 miles. Different makes and models will vary in the schedule and servicing. For example, many metric cruisers will share the same oil in the transmission and the primary. Consult your owner's manual before changing your fluids. J&P Cycles carries a wide selection of factory and aftermarket service manuals for most makes and models, if you have any questions. You'll also want to regularly check your air filter to see if it needs to be cleaned. The filter will get dirty. How fast it gets dirty will depend on the environment you're riding in. Check the filter every 5,000 to 10,000 miles. Having a clean air filter will give you more airflow and keep the dirt out of the engine. You can also get better gas mileage and better performance out of your motor.